Today, I want to talk about something that troubles many hearts. You've loved, you've given, and then, without warning, you were left behind. She walked away, she hurt you, and now she's back. And you're left wondering, why? The human heart is a mystery. It can love fiercely one moment and wander the next. People leave not always because they stop caring, but because they are searching for something, even if they don't know what it is. But time has a way of revealing the truth. The weight of regret sits heavy on the soul. There's an awakening that happens when a person realizes they walked away from something real, when they see that no one else offers the same depth, the same kindness, the same love. They return. It's not even about regret, it's about unfinished business. Love is a force that rarely disappears overnight. Many relationships don't end, they pause. People separate, thinking they can start fresh, only to find themselves drawn back to what they once knew. And then there's the test of love. True love is tested in the fire. Some separations are allowed not as a curse, but as a lesson to appreciate what was taken for granted, a lesson to see love clearly, stripped of pride, stripped of selfishness. Perhaps God himself had a reason. Maybe he removed someone from your life for a season so they could change, so they could heal, so you could heal. And when they return, it is a crossroads, a decision only you can make. But hear me now, not every return is a reason to reopen the door. Not every prodigal needs to be welcomed back. Some come back out of loneliness, not love, out of guilt, not growth, and that is why you need wisdom. So if she has returned, don't just listen to her words, watch her actions. If her heart is changed, if she has grown, and if you still feel led to welcome her back, then do so with a heart of discernment. But if she is the same, if her return is just convenience, then do not be afraid to close that door. Because love should not be built on regret, but on commitment, growth, and the will of God. The human heart is one of the greatest mysteries in existence. It can feel love so deeply one moment and yet be filled with doubt the next. It can give itself completely, then retreat as if nothing ever mattered. The truth is, people often leave not because they have stopped caring, but because something inside them is unsettled. They are searching, sometimes for answers, sometimes for fulfillment, sometimes for something they cannot even name. But the one undeniable reality is this: no one walks away without a reason, even if they don't fully understand it themselves. When a woman walks away after hurting you, it may not always be because she wanted to. Sometimes people act on impulse, on emotions they don't even comprehend at the time. In moments of frustration, disappointment, or confusion, they convince themselves that leaving is the best choice. They believe the grass is greener elsewhere, that freedom will bring them happiness, or that they will find something better. But the heart is not so easily satisfied. What seems like a good decision in the moment can become the very thing that haunts them later. Time has a way of revealing the truth. The emotions that drove her away begin to settle, and clarity starts to take its place. She may have thought she was running toward happiness, but instead she finds herself empty. She may have believed she was escaping pain, but now she realizes she only carried it with her. And as she looks back, she sees something she once took for granted. You, the love you gave, the patience you showed, the moments that were once dismissed as ordinary, suddenly become treasures in hindsight. But why does the heart deceive us in the first place? Why does someone only recognize the value of love after they have walked away from it? The answer is simple. Human nature is often blind to blessings when they are in front of us. We assume what we have will always be there. We mistake kindness for weakness, consistency for predictability, and love for something replaceable. It is only when these things are gone that the reality sets in. Not everything in life can be found twice. And so she returns, not necessarily because she never loved you before, but because she sees now what she was too blind to see then. She comes back because she realizes that love is not as common as she once thought. She returns because she understands now that relationships are not about chasing fleeting emotions, but about standing firm in something real. But the mystery of the human heart remains. It is unpredictable, it is fragile, and it is capable of change. When someone leaves and comes back, it is not just about their feelings, but about their understanding. What they once walked away from, they now desire again. The only question that remains is whether that realization came soon enough or if it came too late. Regret is a heavy burden. It lingers in the heart, whispering reminders of what was lost, what could have been, and what was taken for granted. At first, it may seem like nothing, just a passing thought, an occasional memory. But over time, it grows, settling deep within the soul, becoming a weight that cannot be ignored. When a woman walks away after hurting you, she may not feel regret immediately. In fact, she may feel justified in her decision, convinced that she did what was best for herself. But emotions are deceptive. And what seems right in the moment can later feel like the greatest mistake of all. He may feel a sense of freedom, believing that leaving was the correct choice. She tells herself that she made the right decision, that life will be better now, that the past is behind her. She distracts herself, filling her days with new experiences, new people, new surroundings. But no amount of distraction can silence the voice of regret once it begins to speak. It comes in quiet moments, in the stillness of the night, in the spaces where memories cannot be ignored. She starts to remember the love she once had, the security she once felt, the kindness she once received. And as those memories resurface, so does the painful realization that she may have lost something truly valuable. Regret does not come all at once. It creeps in slowly. It begins with small thoughts, little flashes of what once was. A familiar song, a place once visited together, a moment that once seemed insignificant but now carries immense meaning. Then come the comparisons. She starts to see that what she once had with you was not as easy to replace as she thought. She looks at the people around her and realizes that not everyone will be as patient, as understanding, as genuine. She begins to see that real love is not something that comes along every day, and when that realization fully sets in, regret turns into something even deeper, a longing to go back, to fix what was broken, to undo what was done. But time moves forward, not backward, and regret is a cruel teacher. It does not erase the past, nor does it guarantee a second chance. It only serves as a reminder of what was lost. When a woman returns after hurting you, it is often because the weight of regret has become too much to bear. She thought she could move on, but instead she found herself trapped in the memories of what she once had. She believed she was making the right choice, only to realize that the choice she made led her to emptiness. And so she comes back, not just because she misses you, but because she realizes now what she failed to see before. She sees the love she walked away from, the commitment she took for granted, the security she once dismissed. Regret has a way of opening the eyes, but the question remains, does it open them too late? Unfinished emotional business is one of the strongest reasons people find their way back to relationships they once left behind. The heart is not something that can simply be turned off like a switch. Love does not disappear just because someone decides to walk away. It lingers in the quiet spaces of the mind, in the memories that refuse to fade, in the moments that remain unresolved. When a woman leaves after hurting you, she may think she is making a clean break, but emotions do not work that way. The past does not vanish. It follows her, reminding her of what was left undone, what was left unsaid, and what still holds a place in her heart. Many relationships do not truly end, they pause. People separate believing they are making a final decision, but in reality they are leaving a door slightly open, even if they do not realize it at the time. That open door is created by the things that were never properly addressed. The unresolved arguments, the lingering feelings, the love that was never fully extinguished. She may have walked away physically, but emotionally part of her remained. And as time passes, that part grows louder, making her question whether she made the right choice. Distance does not always bring clarity. Sometimes it only amplifies what was left unfinished. She may have convinced herself that leaving was the best decision, but when she looks back, she realizes that the relationship never had true closure. There were words left unspoken, emotions left unexplored, and questions left unanswered. It is this lack of resolution that pulls people back toward each other, making them feel as if they need one more conversation, one more chance, one more opportunity to see if love still exists beneath the surface. Memories have a way of resurfacing when least expected. She might see something that reminds her of you, hear a phrase you used to say, or pass by a place you both visited together, and suddenly the emotions she thought were buried come rushing back. She remembers the laughter, the comfort, the connection that once felt so effortless. She starts to wonder if she left too soon, if she gave up on something that was worth fighting for. These thoughts become persistent, making her feel as though she cannot truly move forward until she revisits the past. But unfinished emotional business is not just about love. It is also about guilt, about responsibility, about the recognition that she may have caused pain without fully understanding the consequences. The realization that she hurt someone who genuinely cared for her can weigh heavily on her mind. She may return seeking forgiveness, seeking closure, or simply seeking to make sense of her own emotions. Whether she truly wants to rekindle the relationship or just find peace within herself, her return is often fueled by the need to confront what was left unresolved. Because no matter how far she tries to run, unfinished emotions always find a way back to the surface. Love is one of the most powerful forces in the world, but it is not always smooth, easy, or free from challenges. Every real relationship is tested at some point. People face trials, disagreements, moments of doubt, and even painful separations. Some couples grow stronger through these hardships, while others drift apart. But there is something about true love that makes it different. It does not simply fade away. It does not break easily. It withstands the storms even when it seems like everything is falling apart. And sometimes a separation is not the end, but rather a test to see if love is strong enough to survive. When a woman walks away after hurting you, it does not always mean she stopped loving you. Love and pain are often intertwined. She may have felt overwhelmed, confused, or afraid of the depth of her emotion. She may have needed space to figure out what she truly wanted. Some people push away those they love the most because they are not ready to face the intensity of their feelings. But time has a way of revealing the truth. If the love was real, if the connection was deep, then it does not simply disappear. It lingers in the heart, even when people try to suppress it. There comes a moment of realization, a moment when she begins to understand that what she left behind was not something ordinary, it was something rare, something meaningful. She may have believed that moving on would be easy, but instead she finds herself comparing every new experience to what she once had. She starts to see that true love is not about fleeting excitement or temporary happiness. It is about commitment, sacrifice, and a bond that cannot be easily replaced. And in that realization, she feels drawn back to what she once had. Life has a way of testing love in ways people do not expect. Some separations happen because two people need to grow individually before they can truly be together. Other times, the test is about patience, about endurance, about proving whether love is strong enough to last even when it is shaken. Some people leave because they need to understand what life is like without the person they took for granted. And when they return, it is because they have finally learned what they could not see before. But the true test of love is not just about returning, it is about change. A person who comes back must do so not just with words, but with actions that show they have grown. Love is not just about emotions, it is about maturity, about understanding, about choosing to fight for something even when it is difficult. If she returns with a heart that has changed, if she is willing to rebuild what was broken, then perhaps the love was meant to be. But if she comes back only because of loneliness or regret, then the test was already failed. True love endures, but it also demands wisdom, patience, and the willingness to prove its worth. People change, but not always in the ways they expect. Life has a way of shaping individuals through experiences, pain, and time. When a woman walks away after hurting you, she may believe she has moved forward, that she has outgrown the relationship, or that she no longer needs what she once had. But change is unpredictable, and growth often brings new realizations. What once seemed like the right decision may later feel like a mistake. What once felt like freedom may start to feel like emptiness, and when she looks back, she may see not just the past, but a version of herself that was too blind to recognize what she had. Time has a way of revealing truths that emotions once hid. At the moment of leaving, she may have been convinced that she was making the best choice for herself. She may have believed that she was chasing happiness, independence, or a future that did not include you. But change is not just about moving on, it is about understanding. As she goes through life, she faces new experiences, new relationships, and new challenges. And in those moments, she begins to see things differently. She realizes that not all love is patient, not all people are kind, and not every new chapter is better than the last. The love she left behind was not perfect, but it was real. And real love is not so easy to replace. Growth is often accompanied by reflection. The person she was when she left may not be the person she is now. Maturity brings a new perspective, and with that perspective comes a deeper understanding of past decisions. She may now see the mistakes she made, the ways she took your love for granted, or the ways she let pride, fear, or selfishness guide her actions. Change does not erase the past, but it does offer a new way of looking at it, and when she sees it clearly, she may realize that the love she once had was something worth holding on to. People return not just because they miss what they had, but because they have changed enough to see its true value. She may have thought she was leaving behind something temporary, only to realize that it was one of the most meaningful parts of her life. But the real question is whether that change is enough. Growth must be more than just regret. It must be followed by action. If she has truly changed, if she has truly learned, then her return will not be just about missing the past. It will be about building something stronger for the future. But change is a double-edged sword. Just as she has changed, so have you. Time does not stand still for anyone, and the person she left may not be the person waiting for her now. When she returns, it is not just about whether she has grown, but whether her growth aligns with the path you are now walking, because sometimes change brings people back together, and other times it simply reminds them why they had to part. Some separations are not just about personal choices or emotional impulses. Sometimes they are allowed by God for a greater purpose. Life is not random, and neither are the relationships that shape it. When a woman walks away after hurting you, it may not just be a result of her emotions or decisions. It may be part of a divine plan that is bigger than what either of you could see at the time. God allows certain things to happen for a reason, even when they are painful. Sometimes He removes people from our lives to teach us something, to strengthen us, or to prepare us for something greater. And sometimes He allows them to return, not just for their sake, but for ours. When someone walks away, it forces growth. It creates space for reflection, healing, and transformation. It is in these moments of loneliness, pain, and confusion that people turn to God for answers. They begin to see themselves more clearly, to understand their weaknesses, to confront their fears. Pain has a way of drawing people closer to the truth, and that truth often reveals what was hidden in the noise of the relationship. Perhaps there were things that needed to change, things that could not be seen while the relationship was still intact. Sometimes God allows a season of separation so that both people can grow into who they were meant to be. But just as He allows distance, He also allows restoration. When she returns, it may not just be because of regret or loneliness. It may be because God has worked in her heart, showing her things she was not ready to see before. Maybe she left because she was not spiritually or emotionally mature enough to appreciate the love she had. Maybe she needed time away to recognize the value of what she walked away from. God works in mysterious ways. And sometimes He brings people back into our lives when they are ready, when they have changed, when they have learned, when they have been humbled enough to see the truth. Not every return is part of God's plan. Not every person who comes back is meant to stay. Just because someone feels remorse does not mean they are ready to be in your life again. That is why discernment is so important. If God allowed the separation for a reason, then it is crucial to seek His guidance before deciding whether to open the door again. Does this person show real change? Is the relationship now aligned with His will? Or is this just a test, a moment to see if you have learned what you needed to learn? When a woman comes back after hurting you, it could be because God has softened her heart and given her new understanding, or it could be a reminder that some doors should remain closed. Only wisdom, patience, and prayer can reveal which one it is. Because what God removes, He does not always return, and what He restores, He does not always intend to be the same as before. Comfort is a powerful thing. People often do not realize how much they depend on it until it is gone. When a woman leaves after hurting you, she may believe she is stepping into something new, something better, something that will fulfill her in ways she thought were missing. But as time passes, she starts to feel the absence of something deeper, familiarity, security, and the kind of love that does not have to be earned every single day. She begins to recognize that what she had with you was not just another relationship. It was a place where she felt safe, where she could be herself, where she did not have to constantly prove her worth. And that realization is often what pulls her back. The world is full of uncertainty. New relationships, new environments, and new experiences can be exciting at first, but they also bring unknowns. Not everyone will treat her with the same patience, kindness, or understanding that you did. She may have taken your love for granted, assuming that she could find something just as good or even better somewhere else. But love is not just about excitement or newness. It is about connection, trust, and the feeling of being truly seen. And when she finds herself in a world where those things are missing, she starts to long for what she left behind. Comfort is not just about routine or habit. It is about emotional safety. When she was with you, she knew she could be vulnerable without fear of judgment. She knew that no matter what happened, there was someone who would stand by her side. She may not have realized the value of that security when she had it, but once she steps into a world where love feels conditional, where people are not as patient or forgiving, she begins to understand. She looks back and sees that what she had was rare. Memories play a powerful role in this realization. They come unexpectedly, in a moment of loneliness, in a conversation with a stranger, in a place that reminds her of you. These memories remind her of the way she felt with you, of the love that was once so steady and unwavering. And as much as she tries to move forward, a part of her feels drawn back, not just because of who you were to her, but because of who she was when she was with you. People often do not return because they are in love with the past itself. They return because they miss how the past made them feel. They long for the sense of belonging, for the ease of being with someone who truly understands them. And sometimes that longing becomes too strong to ignore. So she comes back, hoping to find that sense of comfort again, but whether comfort is a strong enough reason to rekindle what was lost is another question entirely. Because love is not just about comfort. It is about growth, commitment, and knowing when something is worth rebuilding. In the end, when a woman comes back after hurting you, it is rarely as simple as it seems. It is not just about regret, unfinished emotions, love being tested, personal growth, or even God's plan alone. It is a combination of all these things, woven together by time, experience, and self-discovery. Some returns are genuine, driven by deep realization and true change. Others are temporary, fueled by loneliness, nostalgia, or a longing for comfort. But the real question is not just why she comes back, it is whether she should be welcomed back. Separation teaches lessons that presence sometimes cannot. It reveals what was real, what was taken for granted, and what is worth fighting for. But it also exposes what was weak, what was unhealthy, and what needs to be left behind. Not every return is meant to restore what was lost. Sometimes it is meant to offer closure, to teach one final lesson, or to show how far you have come without them. Love is not just about feelings, it is about wisdom. If she comes back, the decision is not just hers, it is yours. Do you see true change? Do you see growth, humility, and a willingness to rebuild? Or do you see the same patterns, the same cycles, the same reasons that led to pain before? At the end of the day, the answer is not in her return. It is in what you have learned during her absence. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let someone back in. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is close the door for good.